In this GED math video, I am going to show you some calculator shortcuts that you can use to do some of the more difficult problems on the GED math test. Now, question number one, I have already done in a previous video, but I did it without the calculator. So let me show you, I think, a quicker way to do it using the calculator. So let's just jump in to question number one. It says, what is the equation of the line that has a slope of -7 and passes through the point 4, 8. Now this is a difficult problem if you do it on paper, but let me show you a shortcut that can really help you. First of all, it says, what is the equation? And the other information we're given is the slope is -7, and the line, if we were to graph it, passes through the point 4, 8. Now this has to do, this is called point slope form, and you'll see this on your formula sheet. You'll see a complicated equation called point slope form, but I'm going to show you a way to get around this. So first of all, you need to remember that a point is xy, right? What I want to do is enter this point into a table on the calculator. So let's just make a quick table here. X, excuse me, x, y. So with this point, the first value you see with a point is your x value. So x is 4. The other point, not the other point, but the other value, the second value is your y value. 8 is your y value. Now I'm going to go ahead and enter this into a table. And actually, you're not going to use the table button here. You're going to use the data button. So click the data button on your calculator. And you might see some stuff in there. I've already entered some numbers in there. I want this all cleared out. So you can just hit delete to clear these out. Delete. See how that's highlighted? Just hit delete again, and then you can scroll over to the right and hit delete and so on. Another way to clear out your calculator, you might prefer it this way, is just to reset everything. See this reset button down at the bottom? To access that, you notice it's in green, so to access any of the green letterings or symbols above the buttons, just hit the second button first. So you can go second, right here, 0, that access the reset button. You want to reset it? Yeah, so scroll down 1, yes, hit enter. And now the memory is cleared, and you can go back to your table, which is the data button, and everything's cleared out. So you have a choice of how you'd like to clear it out. I would probably just use the delete button, but if you get some weird stuff in there, you can reset your calculator. Now what we're going to do is enter this point 4, 8 into L1 and L2. That's what these say here. So in this first column, I'll put a 4. So all you need to do is punch in 4. It shows up here. And to get it into the table, hit enter. Then I need to punch in the 8 for my y value. So I'm going to scroll over because I need it highlighted over here. Hit your right arrow. This is highlighted, and punch in 8. And then hit enter. Now it shows up 4, 8, 4, 8. That's the first step. Now the second step is you're going to need to put at least one more point in there. How do I generate another point? I'm given the slope. They don't give us 2 points, they give us the slope and a point. So what you're going to do in this situation is use the slope, which is -7, to help you. It says right here, slope -7. Now this is how you read the slope. This is what it means. It means as x goes up by 1, as x increases or goes up by 1, it'll always be this way for this type of problem. As x goes up by 1, y goes down by 7. That's how you read the slope. It's always as x goes up by 1. This part for this type of problem will not change. And then y goes down by 7 because the slope is negative. That means it goes down. Now, what does all this mean? Well, this will help us generate a second point. So let's do that. So x is 4. Whenever you're dealing with slope in these types of problems, you need to increase the x value by 1. See, as x goes up by 1. So increase the x value by 1. If x is 4 and it goes up by 1, it's 5. So this part will be the same no matter what the point is. For this type of problem, it will always be an increase of 1. Then the slope is -7. That implies that the y value right here, y goes down by 7. So y goes down by 7. So if we're at 8 and it goes down 7, we would be at 1. This went down by 7. That's how you generate your second point. Now, I'm going to give you another example after I do this problem so you're clear on how to get the second point right here, because that's the tricky part. Now what I'm going to do is enter this into the table over here. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to enter 5, 1. Let's do that. So I'm over here. Let's scroll to the left 1. Let's scroll to the left over here and enter 5. So hit 5. Shows up here. To get it in the table, hit enter. And then we want to enter the 1 over here. So hit your right arrow and then enter the 1. 1 shows up here, hit enter. Double check everything. We have 4, 8, 4, 8. That was from our point here. And 5, 1. That's what we generated using the slope, 5, 1. Now, once you have this, you're pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to erase this piece right here. And what you're going to look for, well, you're going to generate some values here. Let me just show you the next step that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to use your stat button, which is right above the data buttons. So to access stat, it's in green, you need to hit the second button first. So you'll hit second data. Watch what happens. Second data. And you get this scary looking thing. This will be the same each time. You're going to want to go down to number 2. So see how 1's highlighted? Scroll down 1. What this means is that the first one means there's 1 variable. The second one means there's 2 variables. We have 2 variables, x and y. So that's why I scroll down to number 2. So I went second data. I got this. It says stats. I go down to number 2. I highlight that and I hit enter. Then you get this other scary looking stuff. You don't need to touch anything here. L1 and L2 will be automatically highlighted. You just need to scroll down to calc. So I'm going to scroll down, hit your down button until the calc is highlighted and hit enter. Now you get some more scary stuff. What you want to do is find your A and B value. That's what you're looking for. What does A equal? And really more important for this problem, we're really looking for what B equals. So if you look at the first row here, it says number 1, n equals 2. I'm looking at these right here, not over here. I'm looking for it when it says small case a. That's really what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to scroll down. See, I'm going to hit my down button. And I'll hit my down button again. It goes to 3. It gives us this scary looking stuff that has to do with statistics. Go down to 4, and I just keep going till I see a small a. Just keep going. Now, this is a capital A. I'm not looking for this. I'm looking for the stuff over here. Just keep going. You get a small a. There it is. It took me a while to get there. See, right there it says A equals. I might have skipped it the first time. I apologize if I did. So it says A equals -7. Let's write that down. Do you notice that that matches up with my slope? That's kind of a check, right? On your calculator, A represents your slope. when you're using a formula sheet, M will represent your slope. So let's bring this back here. So A represents your slope, -7. These should match up. If they don't, you did something wrong. Now, the next thing that you really need to find after that is B equals 36. See, right there it says B equals 36. That's really what I'm looking for once I've kind of checked my slope. And now I can find the answer. And actually that 36 is your constant term. So what you're going to do is look through each equation and which number contains a 36 without a letter attached to it. You see it? It's this one right here. That's your answer. And you can move on. No other equation contains a 36. That's how you deal with a problem when it says, what is the equation of a line? Important to read that. It says, what is the equation? And they give you the slope and a point, or they might give you 2 points. And you move on to the next question. Now, you might be saying, well, what if there was another equation? Let's say there was another equation, like, let's say it was 7x. And this probably won't happen, but let's say it said 7x plus 36y equals 20. Let's say that was a possible choice. And you had the 36 here and here. Well, you'd still pick B because the 36 will be your constant term. It won't have a letter attached to it. And this one does. This has a y attached to it. But let's say the answer choice was something like this. And you had another answer choice like 4y equals 36. And let's say the 36 showed up twice. If that happens, just guess. You have a 50-50 chance of guessing. Again, that probably won't happen. There'll probably be only one equation with this number in it. That's the quickest way to do it. And I hope that helps you solve a problem like this. Now, I want to just do some wise teaching real quick to make sure that you got how to generate the second point, because the numbers might be different. So let's just do a little practice here. Let's say the problem said this, and this has nothing to do with the problem. We are done. The answer to this one was B. Let's say we had a situation like this. Instead of the slope being -7, let's say the slope were 3. This is a sample problem. This has nothing to do with what I just did. Just doing some wise teach right here. So slope is 3, and let's say the point was, I don't know, how about -1/6? And it said, so let's say the problem were to say on the GED math test, what is the equation of the line that has a slope of 3 and goes through the point 48? Well, you generate a table just like you did before. So let's make a table. And then we'll put that in the calculator. So you'd put this in the table. Remember, this is x, y, right? X, y. So -1 and 6. And then we'd enter that into the table. Now we can get back to the table and actually practice entering that. We can go back to data right here, right? Let's delete these. Just delete all this out here. And we'll enter the point -1/6. Now this is your negative sign. This is your minus sign. Use this one. So -1 shows up here. Hit enter. Oops, I put it in the wrong spot. I'm glad I did that. No worries at all. Just go back up here, delete it. Go to the right spot. Scroll over one to the left, and let's do the -1 in the right spot. So -1, enter. Then I need to hit the right arrow. So I'm over here and 6. So hit 6, shows up here, hit enter. Now I have -1/6, -1/6. Again, this is a sample problem. It has nothing to do with problem 1. I just want you to have more practice. Now, what would the next point be? What would the next point be based on what we just learned? Why don't you pause the video and generate another point? Welcome back. So hopefully the next point you generated was 0, 9. If you did, that's awesome if you got that right. If you didn't, let me explain. Remember, the slope means the following. When x increases by 1, this will always be the same for this type of problem. When x increases by 1, when x goes up by 1, so you'll always jump this initial value up by 1. The initial value here was 4, jumped up by 1, it became 5. The initial value here is -1. If I jump that up by 1, right? If I jump this up by 1, becomes 0, right? Because think about it, if it's 1 below 0, right? And it goes up by 1 degree, it's now 0 degrees. And then now I look at my slope, right? My slope here is 3. So this jumps up by 3, right? Because my slope was 3. So I take this value of 6 and I add 3 to it because this is positive. So 6 plus 3 is 9. That's my next point. 0, 9. Now here, the slope went down by 7 because the slope was 7. So this is changing over here, but this is always an increase of 1 with the x value. Now, if this were -3, this would have gone down by 3. It would have been 6 take away 3, which would be 3. So hopefully you got this as your second point right here. And let's go ahead and enter that now, 0, 9. 0, 9. So I'll just go over here, hit 0, enter, and then I'll scroll over 1 and hit 9. And now let's just for practice identify the a and b values. A equals, and again, my check, A is going to actually represent your slope on the calculator, which should be 3. Your A should be 3. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember what you hit? You hit stat now. So you go second data, scroll down to number 2. There's 2 variables, hit enter, just go down to calc, hit your down arrow, hit enter, and then just scroll down until you find the A and B value. There it is, and showed up quicker this time. I think I missed it last time I did it. So the A value is 3, that checks, right, with this. It didn't, that means you did something wrong. The B value is 9. So in other words, if this was our sample problem, you'd look for the, let's say this was a 10, 12, 6, 9. You'd look for the equation that had a 9 in it, and that would be your answer. So I hope that extra practice helped you. And we're still going to have more practice doing this. And again, remember that the answer to the original problem 1 was B. Let's go to question number 2. Question number 2. What is the equation of the line that passes through the points -3, -2, and 1, 6? Again, this is a similar problem. It's asking for the equation and it gives you 2 points, this point and this point. Now in the previous problem, you were given a point and the slope and you wanted to find the equation. This one is giving you 2 points. You're going to use a similar process. And again, I've done these problems in a previous video. I just did them showing you how to do them by hand. So if you've watched all my videos or some of my videos, you might have seen this problem, but I think this is a quicker way to, well, I don't think it is. I know this is a quicker way. We're going to do the same thing for the most part that we did before. Now, when you're thinking, what is the equation, and you're given 2 points, or it says, what is the equation, and you're given point slope, think you want to find that B value. So, step 1. Remember, this is your x, y, x, y. So we're going to make a table. Now, this is actually easier because they give us 2 points. If you were to do this on paper, it'd be more difficult than the previous problem. This one will be easier, but very similar. So the first point is -3, -2. So I put that over here, -3, -2. I don't need to generate another point because they didn't give me the slope here. They gave me a second point. So just put the second point on the table. 1 from here, 6 from here. Then you go through the same process that we did previously. And you find that B value. And I'd like you to pause the video and go ahead, go through the process we went through and see if you can get the correct answer. Welcome back. Well, step number 1. We want to go to data right here. We've got this stuff in here. We want to clear it out. So I'm just going to delete everything. And let's go back over to column 1 and we're going to enter -3 from right here. Remember, you want to use this, not your minus sign. Use negative here. So negative, it shows up here. And then 3 from right here. Goes up here and then hit enter. I'm just going to go ahead and enter this point next because the cursor brought me down. You can enter it however you want to, just so long as it's lined up the same. So I'll enter my 1 next. 1 shows up here, hit enter. I need to go over here now, hit my right arrow. I'm up here, I hit -2. -2 shows up here, enter. And then 6. 6, enter. Let's double check it. -3, -2, -3, -2. 1, 6, 1, 6, which originally came from here. And then the next step is you go to stat, so you hit second data. It's 2 variables because we have x and y, so we scroll down to 2, just like before. Hit enter. Keep this the same. Scroll down to calc. Calc's highlighted. Hit enter. And then scroll down until you find your A and B values. Really what you want here is your B value. This is the one you're looking for, so let's go. Did I miss it again? I might have. Oh, no, I didn't this time there. So the A value is 2. The one I really want is the B value, which is 4, right here. So I can't check my slope here because they didn't give me the slope. There's a way to do it, but let's not worry about that. So I'm looking for an equation that has 4 in it, and there's no letter attached to it. Which one would it be? A, B, C, or D? It would be A. See, there's a 4 here. That's matches up here. There's no letter attached to it. A has to be my answer. None of the equations even contain a 4. And you are finished. Now, you didn't even need the A value here, did you? That really represents your slope. If this had said, however, if this had said, what is the slope? Let's just say, by the way, we're done. All right, the answer is A. Now I'm doing some teaching here. If this had said, what is the slope? Instead of what is the equation? And you were given a whole bunch of answer choices. Let's say you were given A, B, C, D. And it said 1, -3, 7, and 2. Well, usually they put them in order from smallest to largest. So let's say they wrote it this way. -3, 0, 2, 4. And it said find the slope. The A value on your calculator would be your slope. And if it said what is the slope of the line that passes through these 2 points, that would be 2. And then your answer, if I just made this up, would be C. I just made this up. So keep that in mind. Now, one other thing. Let's say just going to erase this. If you notice here, let me just clear all this out here. Doing some quick teaching here again. We're really done with this. The answer is A. But let's say, if you notice here, the number without the letter is my B value. So B was 4 here. This is B as 8. This is B as 1/2. This is B as -11 halves. Include that minus sign too. Right there. So, we've already established the answer were A, but let's say the B value came out to -1/2 right here. Here's how it would show up here. It would show up as a decimal here. So it would show, I'm going to bring up another calculator. 1/2, right, is just 1 divided by 2, or 0.5. So if this were my b-value of -1/2, there'd really be a negative sign here. I'm not showing the negative sign, but there'd be a negative sign right here. This b-value would show up as a decimal. It would say b equals 0.5. And if it were this, it would really say -0.5. And if it were this one, -11/2, it would show up as a b-value as 11. This means divided by 2. So if your b-value were 11 divided by 2, on the calculator, your b-value would show up as 5.5. Here it'd be 5.5. It'd show up as a decimal instead of a fraction, just in case that happens. And there'd be a negative sign there too because of this minus sign and this minus. And sometimes I interchange minus and negative. So there you go. That's how you do problem number 2. Question 3. What is the slope of a line that is perpendicular to 5x minus 2y equals 1? This is a little different, and I put this in here intentionally because on this one, the calculator's not going to be able to help you. I'm going to show you why. First of all, in the previous 2 questions, they were asking for what is the equation, and that's when I wanted to locate that b value. Here they're asking for the slope. They're not asking for the equation. They're asking for the slope, which is okay. That might help us. That could help us with the calculator, or the calculator could help us with that if they had given us a couple points, right? But what's really different about this problem is they don't give us a point and they don't give us a slope. They give us the equation. And when it's written in this form, this is called standard form, we're going to be in a tough situation because the calculator can't help us. So I want you to be clear on why the calculator won't help us here, because they don't give us a point and they don't give us a slope like in the previous problems. They give us this equation in standard form. Now there's 2 forms of an equation. There's standard form, which looks like this, and slope-intercept form, which looks like this. But I don't want to get too much into this right now. Just know that this equation is written in standard form. When it's written in this form, you might have the advantage of using the calculator. But I'm going to show you a way to do this without the calculator. And again, I did this in a previous video, but I'm showing you another way to do this problem. And again, we're just going to have to do this by hand. So when it's written in standard form, which is this form, and I'm going to write it down here, 5x minus 2y equals 1. What you need to do is identify A and B. You really don't need to identify C. The A is whatever the x is multiplied by when it's written in this form. So the x is multiplied by 5, so A is 5. The B is whatever the y is multiplied by, and the y is multiplied by here. It's multiplied by -2. I'm going to look at this now as -2. Sometimes I interchange minus and negative, but I really want to look at this whole piece right here. So the y is really multiplied by I'm going to say -2. That's important. Let me write that down. So the b value is whatever the y is multiplied by. It's multiplied by -2. Now it asks for the slope of a line that is perpendicular. It might on the test ask you to find the slope of a line that's parallel. Might be one or the other, okay? So it might say perpendicular, which it does in this problem. It might say parallel. And let me give you the 2 formulas when it's written in standard form. If it's parallel, here's the formula. Simply -a over b. If it's perpendicular, It's B over A. Well, it said perpendicular here, so my B value is -2. So I replace the B with -2. My A value is 5. I replace the A with 5. So what is the slope of a line that is perpendicular to this equation? It's -2/5, which would be B. And you move on. Now I put this in here intentionally to show you that sometimes with these types of problems, you can't use the calculator. It's not very helpful. And a problem like this, if you get stuck, this is something you might want to move on and just guess here. And because it's a time test. Now let's say it said parallel. If it said parallel, what you do is you bring over your negative sign, and then your A value is 5, and your B value is -2, right? So I replace the B with -2. Really, I have two negatives together. When that happens, it's really, I mean, I can move this negative up here, maybe up on top to make it easier. So let me explain that again. This negative sign is from the formula. The A is 5, so I put it 5 here, and the B is -2, so I replace the B with -2. When you divide two negatives, or a negative divided by a negative turns into positive. So the negatives kind of drop off. It's really positive 5/2. And if it were parallel, this would be your answer, D. So there you go. Hope that helped. Let's go to the next question. It says the following. It says, Tim is looking at two websites that allow customers to print their own designs on t-shirts. One website charges $24 per t-shirt plus $8. So that's the first website. I'm going to highlight that. That's the first website. Make that a little smaller. That's the charge for the first website. The other website uses this equation. C equals 22n plus 12 to find the total cost of printing t-shirts. What is the difference? Difference implies subtraction. What is the difference in the cost of each website if Tim orders 10 t-shirts? Now, again, I did this in a previous video. I showed you how to do it by hand. You can also use the calculator doing this as well. So what I'm going to do here is enter a couple equations. Let's look at website 1. I'm going to enter this. It says $24 t-shirt plus 8. Now, I don't know how many t-shirts I ordered, right? I don't know. So let me write it this way. It's $24 t-shirt. How many t-shirts did I order? I have no idea. Plus $8. So I just rewrote this here. I can enter this on the calculator. Watch this. Now, I'm going to hit my table button right here to enter an equation right here. And you get this thing y equals. Just leave that y equals. Just leave it in there and punch this piece in. So it's 24 from right here. Per means times in this problem. Per will mean multiplication, so I'll go times. T-shirts. I don't know the number of t-shirts, so I'm going to use a letter or a variable to represent the number of t-shirts. It could be 20 t-shirts, 50 t-shirts, 100. I don't know, so I'm going to use a variable here, and you can use any letter you want to represent that question mark. I'll use an X. Okay, so to punch in the X button, just punch it right here. See this here? Just hit this button one time, and an X shows up. Plus, right here, 8 from right here. Now, I have written this thing in equation form on the calculator. The y equal automatically showed up when I hit the table button. And what I'm going to do now is generate a table doing the following. Once I've done this, you got to hit enter, by the way. So I've done this, hit enter. And you get this funny looking thing. This just means you're going to start your table at 0 and you're going to count by ones. So I'm just going to leave this. That's fine. You can leave it. And I'm going to go to OK. Just going to scroll down, my bad, until I get to OK. The OK's flashing or highlighted, hit enter. And now I have a table. So this table tells me that 0 shirts will cost $8. The $8 is for the shipping. But remember, I want to know this one. Let me underline this whole final question. It says, what is the difference in cost of each website if Tim orders 10 shirts? So for the first website, I need, this is website 1, right? This is website number 1, or the first website. Let's find the cost for 10 shirts. So I'm just going to scroll down here until I get to 10 shirts. 5 shirts, $128. 6 shirts, $152. Just keep going until you get to 10. So 10 shirts for the first website is $248. I want that in a different color. Okay. Now we have to find the cost for 10 t-shirts for the second one right here. For the second one right here. Right? So here's the second website. Let me actually put this 248 down here. Website 1, let's just put 248 here. Hope you can read that. And then we'll do website 2. Well, it's just, they give you the equation. It's C equals 22N plus 12. Well, I don't need to worry about any of this but the right-hand side of the equation. I'll just enter this now. Watch how I do that. I'm going to go back to table right here. I'm going to clear this out. And it says y equals, well, they have c equals. That's how you can write that as y equals. We're just going to enter 22 times, instead of n, I'll use an x. You can use whatever letter you want. I'll put an x plus 12. We'll just enter it this way instead of using an n. So you go 22 times, just using x instead of n, x plus 12 plus 12. See? Now this matches up with this or this. It's just different letters. That's fine. And now I need to generate a table again. So we're going to go back to, oh wait, I keep forgetting to do this. You have to hit enter next. I'm getting ahead of myself. Hit enter. Now what this is telling us, it's starting the table at 8, but it's still going up by 1. So you'll see that, and you can change these numbers. If you want to start the table at 0, you can, and you can count by 10s if you want to. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to leave it like this. I'll go down to OK. It's flashing. Hit enter. See, the table started at 8. So 8 shirts is 188. You can even go back. 7 shirts is 166, but we want 10 shirts. So 10 shirts for this second website is 10 shirts cost $232. Here are the two big numbers right here. This one and this one. It says, what is the difference in cost? So I need to find the difference between 10 shirts is $248 for website 1. And then for this one, 10 t-shirts are $232. So I'll just go 248 minus 232 because difference means subtract, right? Difference implies subtraction right here. So let's just go to our regular calculator. To get out all of this, you can just quit. So the quit's in green. To access it, hit the second button. So it's second mode. See? Now, none of my table stuff cleared out. I just went back to the home screen. I'll take the 248. Subtract, because it's the difference, 232. And I get $16. So what's the difference in cost of each website if Tim orders 10 t-shirts? $16, which is answer choice let's move to the next question. Question 5. What is the value of f at x equals 3x squared plus 4 when x equals negative 3? I'm going to rewrite this piece right here for you so you can see it clearly. F at x equals 3x squared plus 4. X equals negative 3. All right. So this f at x notation really is the same thing as y. Y equals f at x. So I'm just going to rewrite this. I'm going to cross this out and change it to a y. I'll erase it. I'm really not even concerned with this piece here. I'm just concerned with this side of the equation here. Right here. And I'm going to show you how to use the storage feature to enter this side of the equation into the calculator. Again, I've done this in a previous video, but I believe I showed you how to do this by hand, which is okay as well. But let me show you how to use the storage feature. Let me clear this out here. And what I need to do is store in negative 3 for x. The way you do that, it's going to look on the calculator kind of backwards. You're going to start with your negative 3 right here. Punch that in, go negative right here, 3. So I'm kind of storing in negative 3 for x. I'm kind of looking at it this way. And then I'm going to store that in for x. Here's my storage button right here. So click that, and you get a little arrow. See that arrow right there? It's kind of hard to see. So after I hit that, then I hit the button right above it. If there's an X there, just hit this once, right here. And the calculator says this, negative 3, arrow, X. That's how you use the storage feature. Then you hit enter, and you're good. Don't forget to hit enter after you've done this piece so you see the negative 3 over here. Now I can just be assured that x is stored with the value of negative 3, and I just punch this side in. I just punch in 3x squared plus 4. So let's do that. So I'm going to punch in 3. Not sure what happened there. My calculator kind of froze up on me. That's what happens with online calculators. Let me close this out, bring it back up. I'm just going to do it again. It's fine. So negative 3, store right here with x right here. Just hit this button once. Hit enter. We're good to go. Now I can plug this in. Let's try it again, see if it works. 3. Now I'm just plugging. If you want to, once it's stored for x, you can actually clear this out. Let me just hit clear. Nothing changed. I promise you, nothing changed. I'm just going to hit clear. Negative 3 is still stored in for x. I didn't clear out the memory. You can even hit second recall to see it. Watch. See this recall button? I did this in another video. If you go second storage, it shows you that x equals negative 3. You don't even need to worry about the other variables. Let's quit out of here. Second mode. And now that I have that stored in, just plug this in. Go 3x squared, just like you see it. 3x squared. So x is right here. Right here. Squared. It's right here. Plus 4. Plus right here. 4. See? 3x squared plus 4. You can enter this once you store a negative 3 for x. If x were a different value, you'd store in a different value for x. Hit enter. 31 is your answer, which is C. So that's how you can use the storage button to help you with a problem like this. And You can watch my video on how to use the GED calculator. I did some sample problems like this as well if you need more practice. Well, I really hope this video helped you to improve your score on the GED math test and pass it. Thanks so much for watching all my videos and have a super great day.